hey, congratulations on Great White.
Thanks, mate. Awesome.
Hey, so what drew you to a project like this? Because this is entirely different from anything you've done before, right?
Yeah, well, I love genre films. I love creature features. I've been trying to direct a film for a long time. I've been doing primarily TV commercials. So I guess the opportunity to make a film in a thriller a genre capacity was a wonderful opportunity. Which I dove off the deep end for.
And so, I mean, for many of us who are shark enthusiasts, it's it's sort of like these type of movies that we've seen over and over again. So how did you want to approach this differently from all the previous shark movies that has been done before?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I mean, obviously there's a raft of shark films, and which is led by Jaws, which is the highest watermark. And we're not trying to make Jaws, or we're not trying to make Citizen Kane, but yes, we are obviously trying to make something which has its own individual qualities. And for me, with Great White, it's about showcasing an environment that perhaps people haven't seen before in this genre in Australia, which is the northern tropical waters of northern Australia, where there's very beautiful and beguiling and rich and visceral, but under all that beauty is the primal danger that lurks. And how do you really, how does that suspense play on the audience? So it's those landscapes and that character of northern Australia, which I think people haven't seen before.
That's an excellent remark, is because currently I'm actually binging on a bunch of documentaries for Shark Fest by National Geographic, and it keeps on leading back to Australia, because it has a lot of those places where sharks are protected. Yet there are plenty of shark attacks at the same time, though.
Yeah, I guess that's the irony of it all, but and that is the dichotomy that I was after. We have amazing, beautiful landscapes and beaches and water that we all love swimming in, but there's creatures and so forth that's their home. So you go into their home, you take your life into your own hands. So it's always that interesting thing in Australia. You walk out into the bush, you might get bitten by a snake. Same thing as you go into the water for a swim. You never know what's out there.
So how much of this production was out in the open waters, and how much was it on like a water production set that you had to create?
Well, it was like a lot of movies. We there's so many different locations that you've got to manipulate and make work as they feel like they're all in the one place. But a lot of the film was out in the water to give us that real visceral, real feeling out in the ocean in Australia. And then we did shoot in a huge big prawn farm in a big dam. And then we also shot in a couple of tanks, studio tank scenarios. So yeah, like I'd say the majority was on open water.
No kidding.
Yeah. Very dangerous.
I'm always amazed the fact of on the challenges of these type of productions, because it involves a lot of chaos in a lot of times, because sometimes water doesn't really participate in shooting productions.
Water certainly doesn't participate, as does the wind and the tides and all the elements when you're out in the ocean, which is what you come up against when you're shooting in water, on water. So they're all variables that you can't control. And that makes the filmmaking process almost so unpredictable and so hard. And the fact that we only had 25 days to shoot this put extra pressure on that. So yeah, and then when you're shooting in tanks and in claustrophobic environments for actors where they're holding their breath and so forth, so that it brings in a whole nother world of complexity as well.
Now, for the underwater scenes, did you film that in tanks, or did you also film that in the ocean?
It was majority filmed in this huge, big sort of, I guess, training underwater tank near an airport where we built all the sets, and yeah, so the finale and so forth all take place in this more controlled environment of a tank.
I was curious about the footage of the sharks. Did you just capture the shark footage and basically input it into your films, or how did you manage to pull that off?
Well, it's a combination of things, you know, where there's obviously, you know, carefully selected stock footage, and then there's the CGI component, and then there's the animatronic shark. So this is probably a combination of the three.
Wow, you actually use animatronics. That's unheard of for today for a lot of film production.
It is. It is. Went right back to Bruce in Jaws. So no, our shark was called Brenda, and it wasn't named after my lawyer. So it was interesting.
That is excellent. So which part of Australia, because wherever you filmed it was beautiful. Could you tell us about that part of Australia, to whether we should visit or avoid?
It doesn't have COVID, which is sweet. It's northern Australia, northern Queensland. It's very beautiful there. It's very tropical. And it's sort of got that epic, vast quality to it, and the waters are just they've got that sort of beautiful blue color, greenish blue, emerald-like color. But yeah, mainly northern Queensland.
I know. I was actually astonished. I was even astonished that you even found a shipwreck, unless that was CGI'd in there.
No, that's a real shipwreck, and it's all based on the reality of in Australia has a very long history with the pearl industry in northern Australia, and pearl divers actually, and wrecks, and how the Japanese they came over in Australia, and they were expert divers. So it's that cultural mix that we have, and a rich history with the pearl industry, which was we wove that into the script, with Kimmy's character and her grandfather. That's all based on truth, and that rich history that Australia has with the Japanese pearl divers.
That is an excellent input into the story. With the Japanese into a story like this. Could you talk about the cast? Aaron and Katrina, and why everyone was so perfect, because you wanted to keep the cast small in terms of a film like this.
Look, I mean, the Aaron Jakubenko, Katrina Bowden, they were just I think they were perfectly cast as the couple, Kaz and Charlie, and I think that they're a cornerstone to the script, and getting back to what's the point of difference in that there's a bit of a love story between these guys, and we're trying to get that to come across. These people really care for each other, and we hope to care for them. But they were both. Aaron was a very strong swimmer, had a lot of water experience, holding his breath on another project he did, and Katrina was just an absolute champion, legend, in that she's coming from America. She's coming to a new environment, which is on the water, which is all those complexities, and that is extremely demanding of any performer, actor, because it requires a lot of physicality, holding your breath, going into claustrophobic, dangerous situations, and you really have to have a lot of guts. And I'm just blown away with her professionalism and how she just really embraced the part and what she had to do. So, and I think that comes across in the film.
And, during those 25 days, what do you suppose was the greatest challenge for you? Because you did everything: animatronics, CGI, underwater shots, open water shots. There's everything as a director for you.
I think one of the biggest challenges I think is keeping up your energy, keeping up your focus, because you can't just have a break and have a nap. You've got to be on 24/7. And so being on 24/7, 25 days, essentially in a row is very taxing. So I think learning how to manage your energies, your focus, I think from just an individual point of view, from that standpoint, is how do you maintain all those things in a very taxing, constrained schedule for what you're trying to achieve, which is an action adventure film set out in the open water, and I think most people would have probably tripled the schedule in if you had the budget.
Absolutely. And for yourself, after you finish a shark movie, I always wanted to know is whether, like, cast and directors like yourself, do you guys even have a fear of shark personally, or it's just nothing to you?
Growing up in Australia is interesting because we all you all get exposed to the elements. You all get exposed to the water. Everyone knows the whole thing is, the saying is, in Australia, everyone knows how to swim. But you can only you can't outswim a shark, of course. Look, we all have those fears, and it's with my family now. They said when you go to the beach, for example, they'd be watching me walking to the water, and they're going, "Don't you go too far? Don't you go too far into the water?" So yeah, it's funny, eh?
I think it's funny because I always hear that anything and everything will kill you in Australia. That's what I use.
It's pretty safe over here.
Most excellent. Well, Martin, before one more thing before I let you go. One of the most famous things, and it's all advertised on the posters and all this kind of stuff, is I'm curious, can you really shoot a flare gun underwater?
Of course you can. Of course you can. It's been heavily researched, and apparently you can. Apparently you can. It's all part of the fun, all part of the roller coaster ride, my friend.
Well, after watching this movie, I guess we could.
I'm glad you enjoyed the film, which is cool.
It is cool. I just love everything about sharks. I mean, that's
awesome, man.
It's summer, so it's Shark Fest.
We just got to get everyone out of their homes to go see the movie in the cinema, which would be awesome.
And most definitely, this is a definite summer movie that everyone should check out. Martin, hey, thank you.
Thank you. No worries.
Thank you for
Great to
speaking
meet
to
you,
us
man.
about it. So,
all right.
Hopefully we get to do this again.
See you, mate.
Thank you. Bye now.
Ciao. Bye.